Good evening and good morning, depending on where you are joining from. Distinguished guest speaker, Your Excellencies, noble members of the Nigerian Global Roundtable, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome. May we also recognize the presence of our previous guest speaker. We have His Excellency Dr. Ibrahim with us here, and also some of the panelists that have participated in our previous events, as well as the leaders of the various diaspora organizations present. I welcome you all to this very important interactive session in our series installments, Meet the 2023 Presidential Candidates. Our guest speaker tonight is the presidential candidate of the AAC. He will be talking on what are your party's vision for a new Nigeria, including diaspora engagement, and what differentiates you from other candidates. Furthermore, we hope the series Meet the 2023 Presidential Candidates will inspire you, the participants, to become more open-minded towards the different manifesto and make you more involved in the electoral process. For long, we have reduced the challenges of Nigeria to poor leadership alone without any reflection on the responsibility of the citizenry. Often we forget that we also need ethical, integral, and active citizens to hold our leaders accountable and to move the country forward. No doubt, it is all of us collectively that can transform Nigeria towards that beautiful story that we all deserve and aspire. I am Dr. Jones Edobo, an economist and consultant, your chief host for tonight. I reside in Vienna, Austria. My co-hosts are Dr. Peter Agui, an architect and town planner who resides in Berlin, Germany, and Professor Emmanuel Iga, professor at the IPAC Business School, Paris. He resides in Paris, France. We are all members of the Nigerian Global Roundtable. For those who may not know, before going on to introduce the presidential candidate of the AAC, our distinguished guest for tonight, let me say a few words on who we, the Nigerian Global Roundtable, are. The Nigerian Global Roundtable is an NGO think tank aimed at pursuing good governance and accountability to facilitate the economic empowerment and overall development of Nigeria and Africa at large. We are a non-partisan legal entity registered in Vienna, Austria. We draw our membership from distinguished and accomplished Nigerian professionals from across the world. And now I have the honor to introduce our distinguished guest. Without any exaggeration, he is an activist and amongst the youngest candidates currently running for the office of the President of Nigeria. He has been persecuted for calling for a revolution to change Nigeria for the good of all. Omoyele Sowore is a Nigerian human rights activist, a pro-democracy campaigner, a blogger, writer, and the founder of the New York City-based online news agency, Sahara Reporters. I think most Nigerians are very familiar with that news outlet. Sowore was also a presidential candidate in 2019 Nigerian presidential election under the African Action Congress, the AAC. And he is the initiator of a protest tagged Revolution Now, for which the government tried everything to persecute him. He was born on February 6, 1971, and hails from Ondo State of Nigeria. Omoyele Sowore is a graduate of University of Lagos, where he studied geography and planning. He also holds a master's degree in public administration from Columbia University. He teaches modern African history at the City University of New York and post-colonial African history at the School of Art, New York. Unfortunately, the Nigerian mainstream press seems not to be given adequate coverage to the vibrant, smaller parties outside and only concentrating on the forefront runners. We are pleased to have you here with us, Mr. Sowore. You are welcome, sir. Before I hand over to our distinguished speaker, let me just mention that while the guest speaker is speaking, all microphones shall be muted. After his presentation, we shall have an interactive conversation with him, and we hope he would endeavor to answer as many questions as possible. Please be patient. Participants shall have the opportunity to ask questions and make brief contributions. Please keep your questions as brief as possible. All participants can use the chat function to ask questions or make comments or draw attention to yourself by using the raise your hand function. Kindly avoid talking until you have been called upon to do so. Thank you. Before I call on our activist to begin his presentation, I wish to apologize for the rescheduling of this meeting from yesterday because the notice was very short. So our apology. May I now call on the activist, Sowore, to start his presentation. Thank you. So please, over to you, Mr. Sowore.
Well, first and foremost, let me apologize to everyone here who has signed up to talk to me, I think last week, but due to heavy campaign activities, we couldn't make it happen. There was a conflict. So I said my apologies. My name is Omoyele Sowore, and what am I known for? I think it's been an activist, a political, human rights, social activist on the radar in Nigeria. So that's the best way I think people understand who I am. And with regards to the four candidates that paraded before me and several others who are not being paraded as so today, the simple issue for me and them is for them to show the records of their performances in their states or as vice president of Nigeria. Atiku was vice president for 8 years. I don't know anybody who sent their child to school, and there's no nostalgia of that situation. So these guys have plainly ruined the country, and I'm not saying it because I'm running. This is the position I hold, whether I run or not. But like I said, I just want everybody to understand that everybody with exposure that have a solid understanding of the country, who have engaged in meaningful ways in developing the country is eligible to be president. And if you check on records of our competitors, you find out this is lacking. They've served very well themselves, not the nation, not citizens of the various constituencies.
Have you finished? Because we were just waiting for you to tell us what you want to do.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you. So what do you intend to do differently, from these people that have not served Nigeria well?
Are there questions so that we can proceed, please?
Okay, so we were just hoping that you will tell us what your programs are for AAC.
And our program is security, power, economics, infrastructure, anti-corruption, economy, and restructuring. Others are health care. We also talked about agricultural, producing such a way that we can take care of our needs and export, and also that all these things will rest on technology. So in a nutshell, that's what it is here.
The two co-hosts are going to take questions from the people, but before we go there, I remember that you also spoke about legalizing some joints or something. Is that no longer part of your program, or is it still part of the program?
If you're talking about cannabis, yes. It's part of it, and the explanation is simple. Our people here understand cannabis from the point of view of the product getting them high. That's not my intention. My intention is to sell it and use it to advance. I mean, bringing people, or if we can't find it to come in, we'll send some stuff to them. It's for them probably to understand that this is a very economic product. It's cash crop. It's not just anyhow product. And we will do well to research on this ourselves and find out that we are way behind. Every year, the Nigerian government burns marijuana. The claim is 1.5 million naira. But I doubt that. But whatever it is, that means that's a product that is not going away anytime soon. And considering that we already now have countries around the world, so-called developed countries who are using the plants to advance their economic agenda, I don't think there's anything else to wait for with regards to legalization of marijuana.
So the co-host, please, maybe you can take questions and let the questions, let them be brief as so that we can get as many questions as possible. Please, thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, please, you can go on. Let's have your question.
Good evening, Your Excellency. My name is Sapiano, calling from Nigeria. So I have three questions for you, sir, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, I recalled back you were arrested on the 3rd of August 2019 by DSS for an alleged treason after calling for a protest tag revolution now. Notwithstanding, you were also arrested the 1st of January 2021 by police during a peaceful protest in August. Will you also arrest if, for instance, your government went off the will of the youth if you become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? That is number one question. Then the second question here is, sir, how do you achieve your vision within the first 4 years of your governance if you happen to be the president of Nigeria? And then the lastly, how do you unite Nigerians in spite of the party differences? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I don't even know how to quote those three questions in terms of answering. One, united Nigeria cannot be done by the National Registration Agency. It has to be based on justice. And you can see from sports that Nigerians are united. Whenever any game is being played on the international scene, people troop out. But our leaders are the ones who divide them with religion, ethnicity, and other things. So united Nigeria is the simplest thing for me. Because the moment people start getting minimum wages that are a living wage, they have roads to travel and hospitals to treat themselves at. I think that will unite a lot of people around any leader who does that. I'm sorry, it's been a tough day. What is it that the other question you asked, please, quickly, if you remember?
I think amongst the questions, as we are looking for him, amongst the questions he asked is that you were arrested on 2 occasions. And if you became president, if you are elected, would you also arrest young people for similar offenses? I think that was part of.
No, I wouldn't arrest anybody. It's people's fundamental right to get involved in public protests, and that's what I did in 2019. But I was arrested, illegally detained, and the way the ruling elites gang up against people who are challenging the basis for their existence and governance. So I'm not going to do that. But at any rate, I'm not looking for a unitary state where the police inspector general is not, just listen to only the president, and whatever they ask them to do, they say jump high, they jump to say, have we jumped high enough? That's what it is with these people. Nothing like that. There's no vendetta for us, but that is not to say that we will not recover stolen wealth. That's the only area where I will focus a lot of attention. As in addition to providing electricity, good roads, and other great things that were planned.
Good evening, sir. There's a question in the chat. I will just read it. It says, good evening, sir. What
Yes.
are we expecting from you as in change if you become our president, Your Excellency, because there's so much damage has been done in the country on almost all the sectors in Nigeria. And we believe presently in you. So it's asking, what can you do to remedy the damages done to?
Well, it's to get back to work immediately after you become president. One of the things that I would never do is to wait for 100 days to be celebrating my 100 days now. Roll over our sleeves and go to work immediately. But most importantly, we must bring integrity to governance, where people who know that they need roles, and we know the contractors, can question the contractors or report them if they are not delivering. Part of the biggest problem Nigeria has is that our way of dealing with business is very opaque. We don't like accountability. We don't want to submit receipts. And that's where people often accuse leaders of stealing. Not that they don't steal, they do steal. I know almost all of them, but sometimes they're just afraid to account for their activities because they don't want to be hair-cooled. They don't want to be disgraced. Because when you look at it overall compared to what they get, there's always a disconnect. We will fix that. I'll definitely fix it.
Okay, thank you, sir. I will see to my co-host for the next question.
Yes, I think we have Mrs. Oti IMB, who has been waiting to ask our question. So she can take the floor.
Good evening, all. I'm sorry to come in late. I just got off a meeting with the Nigerian ambassador to France. I live in France here, and I happen to be a representative of Nigerians here. So we've had a meeting. And as a member of the roundtable, I would like to ask this question. I came in late, so perhaps what I want to say may have been addressed by our guest. But then, please permit me to be ignorant here. Now, this is not the first time. I don't really know how to address our guests. I don't know if there's a name, a chief, I don't know. Please forgive me. The presidential aspirant, if I may use that. We all know, we all complaining, everybody is crying. Nigeria is a huge country, but it's not huge US, which you know very well. You're very conversant. You probably still live in the US, I don't know. But what are your specific blueprints, specific nail, cut and nail? This is what I want to do without rhetorics. What are the specific blueprints you have in place to reach out to Nigerians? This may be broad, but again, it has to be broad because there's a myriad of problems. There's a myriad of issues. Now just take it the nitty-gritty. How do you want to address members of the grassroots? Because as an individual, I always say the president will be up there in Abuja, surrounded by his kitchen cabinet. Beside his kitchen cabinet, there will be inner caucus who will be gay men and women surrounding the president. So much so that the president at some point may turn a blind eye. He may not really know what is going on to the people. Whereas as a president of a country, your responsibility is to reach out to the poor people, to the citizenry. How are you going to reach out to ensure that the grassroots people, members of the grassroots community are not crying, are not suffering like they are doing now? What are your blueprints to reach out to the grassroots people? Please, that's my question.
Thank you very much, Oti. I appreciate your question very much. And I must tell you that I think we are some of the only few political organization or party that has reached out the most to the grassroots. In fact, I have been quoted as saying that since 2019, I haven't rested. I keep fighting for workers' welfare, fight against police brutality. Sometimes we fight for students, everybody. So these are the stakeholders within the grassroots that you are trying to talk about. people often make the mistake thinking that, oh, Nigerians are still the pepper sellers, they're the food sellers, or they're selling by trade by barter. People are moving beyond that. That's the truth. Just know that there's nobody out there who doesn't somehow have an access to telephone. I mean, when I say telephone, smartphones, with which they interact and do business. And the government knows that's the reason why at one point they decided to close down Twitter. Then we bypassed their firewall. And today we are better for it. So what I want to say to you is that your questions are broad. There's no question about it. Just asking broad question. What do you do specifically? You know, specifically, I want to provide water. Specifically, I want to provide free education, both at national, states, and primary level. Specifically, I want to make sure that Nigeria is sufficient in, getting food for its citizens. So everything that you could imagine that exists where you are, we're capable of providing that. I'm not saying that. I don't even know whether you're in Nigeria or not, but it sounds like your background or the way you sounded, feel like you have more rest of mind. Because if you are here, you'll be worrying about the currency crisis, petroleum products that are scarce, and all those shenanigans that our leaders love to engage in. So, but what's more important is vision. It's the motivation by the person who's driving to say, this is what I believe I can do. And if I'm given the opportunity, I will do it quickly and without much stress. And I've always said the Nigerian leaders make it look like it's stressful, it's rocket science to govern Nigeria. No, it's not. And don't fall for it. They're just like, most of them are incompetent, and the other ones are just like criminally minded. And the way to change them is to change the player so that we can win the game.
Am I permitted to speak?
Yes, please, madam.
Okay, you can
Yes.
you can follow up with your.
Yes, you just said something that I feel rested. I must tell you that I don't feel rested at all. I may not be in the country, but I feel it. Do you know how many calls I received?
I completely understand. I lived in the US for 20 years. And
so what I'm saying is, aspirants will say, I will do this. I will. This is language. I will. These are utopic. What I would like to hear, what perhaps Nigerians would like to hear is, if I'm going to provide water, this is how I'm going to go about it. If I'm going to provide education, this is how I'm going to go about it. This is what I'm asking. If I'm going to provide electricity, this is how I'm going to go about it. We always hear, I will do this. I will. These are
I actually don't belong in that category.
So one would have expected that I'm asking for a blueprint. You see, if that has not taken place, it's important. It's important that aspirants go out and tell us, we want specifics. We want specifics. We want to say this is how it's going to happen. For example, take something as minute as data. People are not coming out to vote because they are not encouraged. How are you going to encourage people to come out? I hear everywhere there are videos flying around. Go and get your PVC. Go and get your PVC. People are discouraged. They are saying, we can't go get any PVC because at the end of the day, no one is going to listen to us. How are you going to encourage people? How are you going to get people back into falling in love with their country? I live in the diaspora, and people are crying every day. We can't even get Nigerians together because they tell you what is going on at home. We don't care. We don't even want to hear anything about Nigeria, which is unfortunate. I happen to represent a community here in France. I just got off a meeting with fellow Nigerians here in France and the ambassador. We just spoke. It's same complaints. Everybody's crying because they have families back home. We all have links with our families back home. Okay. So what do you want to do?
Okay.
I suspect that regardless of what I say, you are not going to, you are not opening your mind to what I'm saying. The reason, and I'll say this respectfully, the reason I don't break down how I want to intervene is that we did it in 2018. We went everywhere, town hall. We said, oh, this is why I want to govern the security sector. This is how we want to govern the economic sector. Do you know what they did? They were stealing the ideas. So when you ask me to give you specifics, on how to make people get jobs, we have broken it down. I want to refer you to our website, sowore2023.org. In fact, from an unexpected quarter like last week, was the former commissioner in Ekiti State who testified publicly that our manifesto deals extensively with police brutality and social justice issues. We didn't know he read it. So it's available. If I start breaking down to you, perhaps we'll be here till tomorrow. But what I'm saying is that, how about you look at my vision? How about you think about my person, my passion for a better country, to a large extent, it answers 50% of your problem. The rest is to break it down. I can lie to you and be so smart to say that this is how to break this thing down. When I get power, I won't break anything down to you. You won't hear from me again. What I'm saying is that we have a range of programs in our manifestos that we interact to bring about a number of solutions to problems, unemployment, schooling, and we've been speaking extensively about this.
Mr. Sowore, can you please check if your video is muted, because we are not seeing your face.
All right, you hear the moment you turn video for Zoom, which is interesting. I would say, Mr. Yembi, the moment you turn your video for camera, because it's like it consumes more, and sometimes people don't hear me. That's why I decided to off my video. That's why I decided to go offline on that range. But let's keep going. But what I need to say finally to you, Tuma, is why don't you not be convinced by manifestos alone? Look at the character of the person you are talking to. That's very important. Has he ever done anything that he reneged? Did he ever make sacrifices? Did he apologize for offenses he didn't commit when superior force comes into contact with him? That's me. But the homework assignment of tell me numbers, and that's not going to solve the problem. We take political will to solve a lot of Nigeria's problem, and I have it. That's why I sell you my character as opposed to saying, oh, go and look at the manifesto. We have one of the best manifestos. Many people have confirmed it. Check it out. It's on Sowore2023.org. And I'm sure you'll be satisfied about our intervention in the body policy in Nigeria.
By the way, sorry, co-host, before you continue, may I just mention that the manifesto of the AAC has just been sent to us. So we will share it with you all after the meeting, because there's no point now forwarding it. It's too late now. But you will all get the copy of the manifesto after the meeting. I just wanted to mention that. Sorry, co-host.
Yeah, very good. Dr. Jones Edobo, our host, was in the preamble to the meeting while we were waiting for more people to join. You talked about getting the comments by the candidate of AAC, Omoyele Sowore. So about what is going on, this currency swap crisis, which seems to be really biting very hard at home. And we are hearing positions being taken left and right. Some people advising that there is more extension, some people giving other positions. So I want to bounce on that comment you had talked of getting from the candidate, if he can say something about this crisis, if there is anything that he has had to probably recommend to the presidency on this issue, just like many other parties that are contesting are trying to do. What is his position on this crisis, which is really what is really biting hard, apart from the fuel crisis, which Omoyele Sowore actually mentioned at some point in time too?
Thank you very much. You see, I'm a bit different from some of our folks is that when Mr. JMB talked about problems in Nigeria, he went and met the ambassador. The ambassador is, I mean, I've been to embassies of Nigeria everywhere. They are the worst. They represent the worst who send them on ambassadorial postings. So I, for example, would never have met with the ambassador of France to US, but I don't have a right to impose upon the French diaspora community who are meeting with ambassadors, because ambassadors are some of the most useless positions in Nigeria. Some of them don't even know what's going on at home. They don't have any mandate, but they hold all these meetings just so that they fulfill all righteousness. Are you getting my point? So there is nothing to discuss about diplomatic activities in outside of Nigeria. What we need to do is to fix Nigeria so that the rest of the world can respect us. It's not to ask an ambassador to go and lie in the town hall meeting of Nigerians, where he pre-selected people who would come to discuss Nigeria's problem with him. And then I talked to him. I stayed in, like I keep saying, I stayed in the US for 20 years. I never met, I don't know who the ambassador of Nigeria to US is. I'm more interested in what Nigerian government is doing to help alleviate poverty, solve the problem of lack of opportunities, and all the good things that I want to see happen. And I keep saying, without missing words and not just dribbling anyone, that I am very sure that I can do a better job than Tinubu as president of Nigeria. I will do a better job than Atiku. I'll do a better job than Peter Obi. These guys are all clueless. They've run Nigeria before and don't know how to go about it. And that's why they keep repeating failures. In Nigeria's local policy, say that if a guy fails a class, we ask him to stay in the class. That's the way politicians run Nigeria. Are you getting my point?
Sure.
Host, yes.
Yes. To be very specific, would you recommend to the presidency and the CBN to extend the ongoing currency swap?
I was going to go there because I know my last answer was generic. If I have my way, and I hope I do, Buhari will not finish his tenure. Nigerians should teach him a lesson, and teach anybody who is going to be president a lesson, that you can't mistreat people and keep your office. If you guys who are out there, you work in companies, there's no company in the world that will allow, a member or staff to treat their customers the way Nigeria is treating, the way Buhari treats Nigerians. So we're like, remove Emefiele. Emefiele and Buhari are Siamese twins because he procures for him and his family dollars. Emefiele is not a central bank governor of Nigeria. He's the chief bureau de change operator of Nigeria. That's who Emefiele is. Emefiele was accused of sponsoring and financing terrorism by the DSS, which is one of the major security agencies in the country. Nobody's talking about that today. These are criminals, and our country must be relieved of criminals. And I have no apologies for it. You can't tell me anything different. Nigeria is being run by a mafia, and until you take down the mafia, you have no chance of prosperity, of economic development, infrastructural development. They are there to sabotage you because they believe that if the education sector is working, your children will come and challenge them. But if it's not working, their children are going to good schools, yours are not going to good schools. They will always rule over you. That's what it is. So I condemned the currency swap, or when it happened, I was making it clear to people that this is a scam. A lot of people actually insulted me on Facebook and I think Twitter about my opposition to currency redesign. Basically, redesigning currency. Took currency TikTok or Snapchat, they filtered it and they poured ink in it. And now we are dealing with the problem of supply and demand. The problem with the Naira notes is that the demand for it is higher than the availability of the notes itself. So they just played everybody. There was no need to redesign the Naira or to recolor it. No need. There's completely no need because it serves no purpose. But when we say it, a lot of people are brainwashed to believe that, oh, Emefiele would prevent some politicians from winning because there will be no money to buy votes. I can speak on behalf of Tinubu. Tinubu has major stakeholding interest in at least two banks. He owns one outright. Peter Obi has Fidelity Bank. Atiku is being supported by the Villa. They're never going to run out of money. You get my point. This is all stupidity. But they said this thing to you because they know you want to get rid of money politics. The first place to understand that we lost it is anytime the Nigerian government is doing anything in your favor, check yourself. Why are they doing it? They must have an ulterior motive. Ulterior motive. That's why we're here today. I'm in Lagos and I can't find money. I can't find money to even pay like food vendors. I've been in Lagos for 3 days. I ran the marathon today. The marathon race was poorly attended because people have no money to get to the marathon or whichever way they want to participate. People cannot even clap. They are too weak to clap for us when we pass them on the highway. So, but I don't blame Emefiele. I blame the money queen in Asura, Muhammadu Buhari.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sowore. We have somebody among us who wants to ask you a question. It's by name Zafi Yanu. Please ask your question.
Okay, sir. I have two questions for you, sir. Your Excellency. Your Excellency, sir. APC government inherited from previous government, which is the PDP, and they give us a lot of excuses since 2015, and yet no positive impact to show. How will your party rotate the clock within 4 years? Then the second question is, Your Excellency, sir, I think APC made virtually series of manifestos, just as you have. How do we trust you? And I know Nigerians are looking for who to trust, not who will make promises. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, the APC is a devilish party, as you know by now. But, I'm not just here making promises. I have pedigree. I have a past. You understand? I hate to say this, but each time people ask me about, why are you different? And some people say, oh, the reason I haven't been bought over is because the price is not right. And I asked them, do you know what Sahara Reporters is? Do you know how many times people call me and say, please, if you drop this story, your money is on the way, and I refuse. So, but I understand a lot of Nigerians don't believe that anybody can be honest, because if they find themselves in the position that I am now, they will compromise, they will settle for less. I do not do that. I will never do that. And that's why I'm calling on all of you, so in diaspora, I know what is driving you. I know where it pinches you. You guys want Nigeria to work so that, for two reasons. One, that you don't have to pay for everything at home through Western Union or whatever app you're using now. And secondly, you are tired of staying outside too. A lot of you want to come back home. You don't like Australia, it's the second slavery. Most of you who go and put on suit now, looks great on you. Well, you're a shell of yourself because you are living on borrowed cultures, borrowed religion, and borrowed times. Most of you want to come back home. Let's confess to that. I'm suffering in Nigeria right now. People are like, the police is always after me. Do you know what? And my wife should not hear this. Do you know that I prefer Nigeria where I'm suffering now than the Nigeria in which, you can't go back to? If Nigeria works today, most of you will come back home the next day. You prefer the minimum wage of Nigeria than the maximum wage of Australia, because Australia is not your country. It's a country designed differently from your culture, your integrity, your person. We know this. When I'm asked to come back to the US again, if I get my passport back, I would like to go to, but there's nothing else to see in the US. Nigeria is virgin land, guys. If you come here with your ideas, there's a place where you can plant it, but you need a leader that will make it possible for the brilliant ideas you have or skills you have to function. And I'm your guy. I'm your guy, not all these fake, antiquated people who are sick and falling apart. Because why? I understand you. You are where I used to be. So 4 years ago. And probably I would have gone back by now, but they restricted me to Nigeria for 4 years now. My passport is still being seized by the Buhari criminal regime. So what can I tell you? Is to say, look, one of the things I'll do for everyone who is in diaspora is diaspora voting. We need to get you to be punishing our leaders, your votes, and that will be 6 million votes. 6 million votes. Don't quote me, but I know this is probably very recorded. But I'm just telling you, you don't have to be miserable. You didn't have to go outside of this country to make it. You could have made it here, but the system is rigged against you. And I must say that some of the diaspora people are also part of the problem. The moment they get to Nigeria, they want to do the same rubbish that the people they are complaining about are doing. Convoys, stealing money, they want to live in luxury. So you then ask yourself, oh, what's all this diaspora noise about? Everyone's seeking for relevance. But I'm not. I want to change this country, and I hope you will join us. Thank you.
We have a question that was placed in the dialogue box, I think by engineer Smart. What's the full name? Engineer Smart. I think he's on board. Ogumbumi. He's on board. He may wish to ask the question directly, but we can also read out his question. Would you want to take the floor to ask your question, Engineer Smart Ogumbumi?
Yeah, if you insist. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, my question, I sent it also to
discussion box.
Yeah. Okay. If you were elected president, Mr. Sowore, what will you put on state of emergency, declare state of emergency on power or security, or both? Let me be fair. As a matter of priority.
I want to ask you, has anyone in Australia ever declared a state of emergency on power, education, or whatever or security? No. These are part of the terminologies we are falling for. Somebody has something to offer, let him offer it. Declaring a state of emergency in any sector doesn't solve the problem. It's just a way of saying, oh, there's urgency.
I live in Austria, not in Australia, next to Germany. And
okay, you guys are calling from Austria. I'm so sorry.
Vienna, from Vienna. In the case of COVID, a state of emergency was declared on COVID, and which enabled the government of the democratic government in Austria, enabled them to get some money quickly instead of going through the so-called due process, because it will have taken longer. That's what I'm saying.
I understand, my brother. I understand what you mean by state of emergency. There's nothing about. But here, when they say state of emergency, they want to steal money. There was a time a state of emergency was declared on Boko Haram. Do you know how much we lost? $1 billion. Buhari asked for appropriation. The parliament rushed to give it to him. Those ones toothless bulldog. And what I'm saying is that why don't you solve problems without making it look like one is bigger than the other? If I declare a state of emergency in education and power, there's also still a state of emergency that must be declared on education, on food security. I just think like there's a lot of semantics in governance. I don't want to be a president who makes you feel like, oh, there's state emergency in education. Then they set up a committee. You never hear from them. What I'm saying is that without making it look like a state of emergency, the Nigerian state is in a state of emergency in all areas and sectors already. Let's get a leader who can go and fix that. That's my interest, not nomenclatures. And I'm sorry if I disappoint you. This is how I see it.
Co-host, may I also, ask?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, please.
Okay, thank you. Dear presidential aspirant, I would like to ask you two questions. And the one is—
I am a candidate, not an aspirant. I just want to correct that.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
He is now a candidate. That is very true.
Yes, sorry for that. My question is, I know from your antecedents and for what you stand for and all the fights you have been doing all these years since you returned to Nigeria, and I think it was Mr. Arno who said that you have been arrested a couple of times for what you stand for. And all these things you have always stood for is how to improve the lives of Nigerians. Now, I know that you are, for good reasons, you have also spoken a lot about President Buhari's government. You have spoken of the PDP and the other parties. You also spoke of Labour. So my question in this regard is, why was it not possible to uproot these two past parties, political parties? We needed a third force. And this third force would have meant that the small political parties all come together to join hands together, forget about the personal ambitions and see the bigger picture, because together, maybe they can work and become a stronger force to uproot the two political parties. Why was it not possible for you to join hands with other parties to merge and form a bigger party, forgetting about the personal ambition to uproot what you have described with so many words, the two other political parties? That is my first question. Second question is, given the way things are, if there is a runoff, which is going to be quite likely because we have 17 political parties.
18.
How many?
18.
18, okay. So the likelihood that one party is going to win outrightly from the first election on the 25th, I assume is not very, is slim, you know. Now, if there is a runoff, is there any political party you will say, okay, you will support if by chance you don't happen to be amongst the two political parties that are in the runoff? Can you give us an insight on, because it will be not wise to say I don't support anybody and any of them, they will just win the election and become president. Is there a political party you will say, let's assume the Labour Party gets into the runoff, will you support them?
Just answer this too, please.
Yes. Go on, yes, please.
Whenever you're asking this question, I know where you're headed, and I'm glad you mentioned it already. Most of you have your bias for Labour Party. No, that's why that's why I stopped attending some of this. It
doesn't need to be Labour Party. I'm sorry, because I just.
No, I'm just trying. You made it clear.
Yeah.
You know, most of you have bias for a political party. Yes, you are tolerant enough to, invite some of us, but you actually don't believe in us. You know, you believe in the major political parties and their appendage. My answer is no. I will never join any of the major political parties. I will never join APC. I will join PDP. And I also will never, and I put it in a record, no matter how you feel about it, I will never work with Peter Obi. Peter Obi is PDP light. That's how we call them. So that's Labour Party. Labour Party is like an Airbnb. You have a short time to stay in town. You rent an apartment, and then when you're done, you leave. That's what we have. But here is my information for you. We joined one of the biggest political parties in PRP Vanguard. And this is a party that meets our standard for development, economic participation, and all the great things we want. And we're the only person who have had that alliance up to now. Nobody in my party, or sorry, in our party, that will join a Peter Obi, because we don't have anything in common. Peter Obi is part of the old system. They are part of the old failed political systems in this country. As a result, there's no middle ground between the two of us. But we understand that some of you in diaspora have been so harassed, bamboozled, that they're like, just go and join Peter Obi now. Peter Obi is not new to me. I was a reporter. I know what he's about and who he stands for. But as to whether if there'll be a runoff, the question you should ask yourself, if there's a runoff today, and it's between me and APC, or sorry, our party and the APC, or the PDP, who do you think Peter Obi will join? Peter Obi will join PDP, because that's where he came from. If, let's assume hypothetically today there's a runoff between Tinubu, Peter Obi, and Atiku, who do you think Peter Obi will go with? He will go with Atiku. Let's assume the runoff is between our party, AAC, APC, and PDP. Who do you think Peter Obi will go with? He will go with the PDP, because that's his natural habitat. Hey, Chris, can you step down for Peter Obi? Who's Peter Obi? Peter Obi is Atiku's VP in 2019. Who's Peter Obi? Peter Obi is, according to him, a trader who will trade anything. Who's Peter Obi? Peter Obi has Anambra to transform to Dubai in 8 years. He has never done it. If you think he has done it, carry your bags and go and spend vacation in Anambra to do. And I hope you come back alive. Simple.
Well, let me correct, before the co-host continue, let me correct an impression. We don't have candidates. We at the Nigerian Global Roundtable have no candidates. So we are happy to be having this conversation with you. And we will see whether those people you said will not come. But never mind, we leave that open. That is not the subject of our...
Who was there last week?
Senator Kwankwaso was here last week.
Okay.
You know,
so
And
have
if,
you been able to reach Peter Obi to come on your show?
we are
working on it.
We are working on it. But let's.
But I can guarantee you that he won't come, because there's actually not enough upstairs to discuss. You guys are too brilliant for his existence.
Okay.
Yes.
So
and the same thing applies to Atiku, and the same thing applies to Tinubu. So you can pick him Peter Obi. Peter Obi has nothing to offer you. He has not. Peter Obi is a candidate of conspiracy. Okay. Christian right conspiracy, ethnic conspiracy.
Yeah.
You have asked me, oh, why don't you are from Niger Delta? I'm Niger Delta Yoruba. Why don't you talk to Niger Delta militants? I don't want to be president of Niger Delta militants. That's the reason I don't talk to them.
Yeah. No.
If the chairman can allow me.
Yes, go on.
Yes. Let me just add. Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso was our guest last week, Friday, at the same time as we were hoping to schedule you yesterday, but it didn't work. And we thank you for making it possible tonight. He was here, and actually the same question about who would you support in case of any runoff, the question was asked Rabiu Kwankwaso also. And he gave his answer. Well, we wouldn't.
What was his answer? What was his answer, please, if anybody don't mind?
Well, it's on YouTube.
No, I don't need to go to YouTube. You guys got the answer. Let's stop playing. Let's stop doing semantics. What did he say?
Well, I think he said something like, well, he in the same line as you're saying. He just said, well, let us wait for the election to take place, and whatever move he is going to make, he will make it at the right time. That is, if he doesn't win the election. But he was very sure that he's going to win. He will win the election. That was, he was very, very hopeful.
First, I guarantee you, Peter Obi will never come in front of you, because he's not an intellectual person at the level that you're operating. You know, and I love to say it. I like the controversy.
So when we invite somebody, we do that with great respect for the individual. We appreciate your courage. We appreciate what you are doing. And I also said in my introductory statement that we appreciate all you have been doing, you know, all these years. And so to the question about if there is a runoff, I think it's a natural question. But if you don't like that question, we'll withdraw it so that we can.
Who told you there will be a runoff election? There won't be any runoff election because why? They are not planning an election. That's why they introduced currency crisis in the middle of this election. That's why they introduced hunger, starvation, and lack of energy. This is the longest I've been on the show and nobody took my light. If you wait another 5 minutes, they switch it off from NEPA. You know, but most importantly, I have been in that. I'm in diaspora like most of you. I respect what you are. I think the diaspora community wants Nigeria better than people live in Nigeria. I'm sorry to say, you know, and you're not the one suffering, but you want a better country. You know, the people here have given up. You know, and I say because I'm here too. So I didn't come to this election.
Wonderful.
To win big.
Yes, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's just good enough that you are not going to step down for anybody. That answers the question. So we don't need to. Okay. Co-host, please, can you take over so that we move on from this topic?
So thank you very much, my co-host. Mr. Sowore, I have a question for you. Considering the various challenges we have in Nigeria in terms of insecurity, infrastructural development, agriculture, etc. And talking of the manpower or the leadership challenges we have also, and corruption to join. How, especially corruption, how do you see it, and what are your analysis so far, and how will you go about it when you, if you are successful in becoming president of Nigeria? Mr. Sowore,
Can you hear me? Yes. So you mentioned corruption, and this is where sometimes I have problems with our people. I apologize to anybody felt offended by my reaction a few minutes ago. Everybody wants a great country. Particularly diasporans feel like it's great to have a better country. But then they keep shifting in direction of people who rule Nigeria. When I was in New York, the most useless group of diasporans were in the PDP, and now I head the APC. They used to send money from Nigeria to buy them beer. You can never win in their midst. They say, oh, you know, Obasanjo is doing well. They were the ones who were actually in the forefront of third-term agenda of Obasanjo. You know, but having said that, I want to apologize to every one of you who might feel offended by my reaction. It's not in my character to react this way. I didn't step down in the struggle for democracy in 1992, 1993. I didn't step down in fighting corruption all alone. I'm 51 years old.
We have to, I turn to Dr. Jones Edobo, our chairman. Yes, listen, we have all listened to you and your wish that we wrap up in good time. Actually, we've spent like 1.5 hours. That's a pretty good time for an exchange like this. But before probably our chairman decides on which way we go, let me again insist that the Nigerian Global Roundtable is not a partisan organization. I don't know who Dr. Jones Edobo, who is the chairman, is supporting. I don't know. I don't know, but my co-hosts agree. I don't know who is supporting. But we are all free. The rule we gave ourselves on the Nigerian Global Roundtable is that anybody can support any party and is free to post any post in support of his party. But everything, or eventually against another party, but everything should be done in total respect of the other party. So we have a standing rule, and we are very senior people. There are diplomats, ambassadors, ex-ambassadors, different people amongst us. So we don't go that route. of saying, okay, as a body, we have given our votes to one candidate or the other. That is definitely not correct organization. We respect ourselves too much, and we are people of a certain level and certain caliber that we can't all lump ourselves into one basket and say, okay, we're all going for one particular candidate.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Sowore, with all due respect, if we have no respect for you, we wouldn't have invited you. And we are happy that you are here. You are one of the youngest candidates, and we are very glad that you have summoned the courage to go for this office, because we think it is high time that younger generations should aspire, and not only aspire, but also win that position so that Nigeria can move forward. Apparently, there is a misunderstanding. Nobody here has asked you this evening to step down for anybody. I think you misunderstood what was said, or it wasn't said properly. What I said was in the eventuality of a runoff, and that can happen easily. And when there is a runoff, parties negotiate with one another and eventually support A or support B, or not support anybody. So we were not, I mean, maybe the error was that I mentioned Peter Obi. I don't know Peter Obi. I'm not a Labour Party member, or none of us is a member of any political party. So let's get it straight. We didn't invite you here to say, come and support somebody or step down for anybody. That's not our intention. And that is not what we do. Like Professor Iga said, we are too much of high caliber to do that, So I would suggest before we round up, there are some hands that have been raised now for some time. If you don't mind, I think there are four people who have raised their hands. If the co-host can just take those questions very quickly, and then we round up, so that Sowore can also go and rest after the marathon of today has tried. So please be very brief. Don't repeat the questions over and over. You are asking a question. When he gives an answer, then you take the answer as his answer and not try to push him to say a particular thing. So please, co-host.
Yes, please. Mr. Chairman, we'll call on I think Madam Oti is on the line, the first person.
Mr. Madam Oti has got an opportunity.
Yeah, Shemeke has been waiting. So one person, those who have not talked.
Yes, okay. I think that's the best way to go.
Yes.
Okay. So
yes, so maybe, and then Engineer Smart.
Then Charles, we have Charles.
Yeah, Shemeke Charles, probably. And then Julian.
Julian, yes.
I think you're seeing me, right?
Yes, wonderful.
Okay. Well, I would like to thank Mr. Sowore for taking his time to participate in this event. And I know before he was invited, I think a letter was sent through the Nigerian Roundtable. I hope you will take a look at the ideals of this organization to recognize that we are all interested in good governance. So I'm a bit embarrassed and a bit, thinking of what he has said so far, and I don't feel happy about it. I think he got the whole purpose of this meeting in a different way, and I hope he will see and recognize if and from looking at his history, his profile, and what he has done, I believe he stands for democracy. And democracy requires that we recognize other people's opinions, and all opinion might not be on our own. Some might be for us, some might be against us. But how we deal with them and those who are for or against us matters a lot. It shows who we are and what we stand for. So what I'm looking at here is, what I'm trying to say here is that The way he seems to be reacting to this roundtable is not in our character, is not the way we function in this organization. So we like what he stands for. And because of that, that's why we invited him. And we're happy to listen to what he has to offer, just like we are listening to other people. So we are on the same level or on the same path of having a good country. Our desire is to have a good country where all of us will be happy about and have good governance. So we hope that he will take a look at these organizations as people who are partners with him in whatever he wants to do. But we just want to hear what he is offering and what he wants to do. And we're glad we heard all of that. So we all take up what he has said so far. So, but there's something he said at one point that P2B is a conspiracy, okay? So we are here to listen, to understand, and have to be more informed because he is in the political space and have more information and more ideas. We'll be glad if he can expand on it and give us more insight on that, so that we can have more informed decisions when we make our decision on who we're going for. So I'll be very glad if he can expand on that statement and provide our insight why he thinks P2B is a conspiracy. Thank you.
Dr. Shemeke, please forgive us if we skip that question. I mean, you have made your statements, which are very, appreciated, I would suggest, if you don't mind, that you take 2 questions at a time so that the people we have who have raised their hands can be lumped together so that we can round up. He has been
we have Julian Hazel.
And then another question.
And then Hawa Oshafu, who have never asked any question.
Those 2 questions together, and then we can take the other 2, and then we round up, please.
We can't hear Julian.
You have to unmute.
No, he's submitted already.
Is he unmuted?
Yeah.
But we can't hear him. We can't hear you.
And then let's move to the next questionnaire. Mr.
Okay,
Hawa.
Julian, try to fix your microphone while we go to Hawa Oshafu.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. It's not really like a question, but it's just a comment because I'm a Nigerian of origin who appear in Austria. Just wanted to tell Mr. Sowore that I'm just interested in his own campaign and I'm not really biased. I want to give everyone a chance.
Can you get to the microphone? We can hardly understand you.
Okay. I said I am a youth or a younger person here in Austria, born in the diaspora, and I'm just interested in getting to know the different, what is in the future.
I don't think we have.
I heard she said she's an Austrian-born Nigerian or something like that.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Then I didn't get the question itself or the comment that, and then she said she was interested in knowing, I think, what is going on in the country or something like that through this election process.
How Shuffle, can you type your question, please, because your microphone was very poor.
Yeah, I think she said it wasn't really a direct question. It was a comment.
Okay.
Yes. So I don't know if Julian Heisel has fixed his microphone.
I think Julian, as he said, he was typing his question.
Okay.
Check the chat.
In that case, maybe IMBOT can quickly take advantage of that to chip in.
And then there's
but be brief as possible.
Yeah, but there was somebody else. Mr. Ona was also asking.
Oh, okay. In that case, Mr. Ona goes first because he hasn't.
The two of them.
Okay, the two of them. But Ona goes first, then TIMB. Is Ona hearing us? Unmute your microphone.
Okay, it's been unmuted now.
Okay.
Can you hear me, everyone?
Yeah, go on, but brief, very brief, please.
Very brief.
Okay. Good evening, Your Excellency. We are not here to jeopardize your effort on what you are doing to make Nigeria a better place. Of course, we are not after people that popularity. We are after the people that are ready to change this Nigeria for us. because this Nigeria has been really damaged. So all we are after is a good Nigeria. And we pray that God will help you understand what we are trying to say here, because the country has seriously been damaged beyond repair. And we believe that your coming to that place is going to make a very great change for us. We believe in you, we trust in you. And so you just have to accept our trust so that we can move forward together. The sectors I mentioned, the parastatals and the rest, we wish you for you to do something about it, because each time they set up any bill for any execution to take place, there's always a mismanagement of funds or mismanagement of the whole thing. Before you know, you see them lagging behind or finished project up and down everywhere, and it affects a lot.
Diploma engineer Smart also raised his hand some minutes ago. I don't know if he has changed his mind, so maybe you can add that to it so that we can. Okay.
Okay, mine is just.
There are some questions in the chat block.
Oh, okay. Okay, but IMB, you can quickly chip in your own.
Yes, quickly. So mine is just a comment. I just want to lend my voice to members of the roundtable. What we were trying to do here is just to ask about synergy in civilized environments where we live, where we happen to live. There are coalitions. So that may be the undertone behind the question. It wasn't really we're not partisan. That's what I want to say. So please, for me as an individual, I want to assure you that I felt really bad that I missed the beginning of this program, because I wanted to hear Sowore. When I saw that it was Sowore, I was excited. I really wanted to hear you. So, Mr. Sowore, please know that we are not partisan, and what we were trying to do is to find out that someone like you who has very cogent ideas. So one would expect that in case of any situation, you may want to synergize. You may want to align with another group. We are not saying you have to do it. It's just perhaps it could happen. That might be a way for you to now project whatever you have for the country. Because the question is in the interest of the country now. It's not a personal thing. It's your interest for the people that is making you to do what you're doing. That is why your Sahara Reporters, yes, I read Sahara Reporters a lot, and I know your vision. So please, in case of a situation where you have to go online, why not? It's just a suggestion. So you may want to synergize your ideas with another group or another party. Thank you.
It was just a comment. She just wanted, okay, so go on. Take the next persons.
Let me read from the chat. There are some questions there from Julian Hayes. Number one, he said, as president, what obstacles do you expect to your successful execution of your plans? Then number two, how will you reform the petroleum sector? 3, how will you diversify the Nigerian economy? Then in conclusion, he said to question 1, how will you confront these challenges? So these are the questions.
Is Engineer Smart still around? Because he was raising his hand some times ago. But maybe you can have.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe you can add your question now to what Aisel has just asked, so that he can answer both together, because we are rounding up now.
Yeah, I don't have a question, just a comment. But again, many have said the same thing, so I shouldn't pass it. We're not biased. At least I am not biased, and I know a lot of people on this platform are not biased. And I, at least Dr. Johnson and 2 other people on this platform know, have also been a victim of Nigeria. I mean, I left everything in the diaspora. I went to Nigeria, and if I was offered big money, I mean, huge money, but I rejected. I told them to go to hell, and I came back to Europe. I mean, so it's not every diasporan that fall into this trap. And everybody has I have a principle, I have a dignity, and I earn a lot, more than enough in Europe. And I told them, look, I came to build Nigeria. If you don't want to build Nigeria, then, and I came back to Europe. Just I shouldn't stereotype us as sometimes as typical Nigerians who are looking for something to eat. If I don't go to Nigeria, I will eat. And if I go to Nigeria, I'm going to build Nigeria with the intention of making Nigerian great again. Because when I left Nigeria, Nigeria was very great. I left Nigeria in 1982. My dream is to go back and make it great. But at that time, I went back. I spent at least 3 years in Nigeria, and I knew Nigeria wasn't right at that time. That's only my comment.
Okay, thank you very much. I would just suggest that Mr. Sowore just answers the questions of Mr. Julian Eisel, and then I would then suggest that the co-host, go over to vote of thanks so that Sowore can go and rest. We appreciate his time with us this evening. So if he may wish to just answer that as the last questions, and then we will go to the vote of thanks. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. And again, I must personally apologize if anybody is going to walk away from here thinking that we had a contentious interaction. I'm not the kind of person who's afraid of engaging people. I engage powerful people in this country, Nigeria. And, a lot of people left this country. They left because they wanted to find something better for themselves. And they live in countries where things work. Yeah, most of you live in countries where things work. I was in Australia once for a meeting, and the person sent by the minister to come and attend our meeting in Austria. Sorry, I keep saying Austria. Came on a bicycle. I was like, "What are you doing here on a bicycle? No police." He said, "Oh, the police." I just called the police next to my distance, and they drove and they have left back. That's the country I want. Mine is about will. Those of us who are living abroad, we have a common disease. We just dream that Nigeria will be good. We want to stamp our finger and see Nigeria works. When I was writing Sahara reports and publishing it, it's easier for me to get news about Nigeria in the US than to get it when I'm here, because I want the country to be good. Sometimes there was a point I described myself as an infrastructure thief. Why did I say that? It's like, if I'm riding on a highway, which most of you always think, and it's good, I'm like, oh my God, can we get this to Nigeria? Can we make Benin or a road just look like this? I want to steal whatever is good and bring to my country. And I think that's the most for most of. But what we should not also run from is that, people have primordial interest. I'm not accusing any one of you. I've been accused of ethnicity because I'm opposed to Obi. I'm opposed to Obi because I know Obi very well. Obi has no competence. Obi, if any one of you doubts me, your next vacation should be in Anambra State, where he was the governor for 8 years. Come, let's go to Anambra. I will follow you. But the truth is that you're not going to come there because it's primordial, he's our brother. I understand all these things. But sometimes I also express myself fully. I'm not afraid to say it. No, on this conversation, most of you don't want to live in a place where there's winter. You don't want to work 2 jobs. You don't want to have a family that doesn't belong to you. You don't want to have a car whose car notes you can never pay. You don't want to be in a place where you don't own a home after you paid for all. That's the truth. So what are we talking about? I challenge you that every one of you who is here today can govern Nigeria better than Buhari. You can govern Nigeria better than Tinubu. You can govern Nigeria better than Obi. That's the truth. You guys, just by living in a society that works, you know how things work now. I went to Canada one day, and when we were approaching our hotel, they said there was a diversion, When I got to the hotel, because they're constructing a highway, when I got to the hotel, they sent a message that, please, we are sorry about diversion. This road will be available by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. They only constructed the road for a week. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway has been under construction since I arrived in Lagos in 1986. You can't get a job in this country. You don't have electricity. You don't have security. Nothing. So why will I sit down with you? In fact, if I have to be harsh on anyone, it's those of you in diaspora, because we are one family, one single family. We want Nigeria to work. The diasporas in Nigeria's political space are more passionate than Nigerians themselves. Sometimes they think you people are crazy because you want a better country. They say, why don't you just stay where you are? Don't come back. Stop disturbing us. This country can never be good. Do you know how many people are living tonight, traveling abroad? Doctors, nurses, teachers. Our bank apps can't work anymore in Nigeria because the most brilliant application experts have left the major banks. They're in Canada. So that's what I'm saying to you. What I'm trying to say is that, please, I apologize to those of you who invited me here tonight to talk about programs. If I win an election today, I'm going to pull all of, this Zoom meeting, I'll pull it out and bring it home. Anyone of you that fails, I will call you out and shame you, because I know you understand how countries work. You are the typical Nigerians or non-Nigerians, because most of us have abandoned our citizenship, who know how things work. It's not impossible that as a lawyer on this Zoom call today, and they know that every disease is not malaria and typhoid. Come and stay in Nigeria in 4 months. You start believing that every ailment you have is typhoid and malaria. Because why? There's no medical diagnosis. Sometimes the doctor will be courteous enough to look at your eye. You pull your eye down. The thing is, it looks yellow, it's jaundice. And those are the things that kill you. So please, guys, I apologize once again. I don't just want to be part of any of these manipulative groups. And I agree and accept that you are not partisan. I'm not desperate to win. Sometimes some of us who run for office in this country actually sometimes, and I'm saying this, waiting and said, well, let them vote for the enemies. But one day you need to call on your friends, and I'm friends with all of you. I thank you very much.
Okay, let's, the co-host, can you please go on to do the vote of thanks? Unfortunately, the last question of Julian Isel were not addressed, but I think we will just move on.
There's no question to address, sir.
Okay.
There's none of this question that doesn't require, it requires a few things: knowledge, exposure, political will.
Okay.
What are you going to do? There's no question here that I've not answered 20 times over. Electricity, education, diversity of the economy, how do you intend to the petroleum sector? The petroleum sector in Nigeria is a criminal enterprise. It's like mafioso. I've answered all this. I wish that you guys understand how urgent it is to turn Nigeria around. There's no rocket science in managing Nigeria. Nigeria is the easiest place to manage in the world because people are easily swayed and convinced. You live in countries that work. The mayor of your city works harder than the president of Nigeria, even though people in that city might be 40,000 people. That's the truth.
Okay, thank you. The co-host, can you please begin with a vote of thanks, please?
So I want to thank you on behalf of all our members. I will understand the heavy loaded workload that you have now, and for creating this time to speak to us. Actually, we value it and we appreciate you. Please, in whatever sense you think we are biased or otherwise, please take that away from your mind. As a global roundtable think tank, we tend to be neutral in our work and interaction with other people in the past and also in the future. So we are actually neutral. Maybe some questions were misunderstood, but that is the way it has gone. But we want to appeal to you that you should give us the chance to help you in future in case you become president, to help to build Nigeria. Though we are in, most of us, we have members also from Nigeria, but most of us, we are residing abroad. But we know now that distance does not play any role in the future interactions and engagements. So we tend as organization to be behind you in case you win. And we also hope to contribute towards the development of Nigeria in our little capacities, not as officials of the government, but also in our organization as a think tank, where we're able to generate ideas that will pass on to you or the government to implement or consider. So we pray that you will be successful in this adventure you are going into, and we also pray that all will be well with Nigeria in terms of security and others, and that the election will come peacefully, that at the end of the day, we will have cause to give thanks to God. So, sir, you are welcome. Please, as you are leaving us, we want you to leave us with a smile and with peace in your heart, knowing fully well that the Nigerian Global Roundtable is pure, we are very neutral, and we are not in any way trying to conjure you to do whatever is against your will. So we thank you, and I will now cede to my co-host to make the closing remarks. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, co-host Dr. Peter Agui, Chairman Dr. Jones Edobo, and our most distinguished guest candidate Omoyele Sowore. Who doesn't know? I have been somebody who has been following him through his Sahara Reporter publications and all he was doing to kind of to stir the hornet nest and tell us what is going on that many people wouldn't have probably known about in the country. I've been, and I continue to be a regular reader of and follower of Sahara Reporter, whatever some people may think about that. Coming to this issue, which we have actually overflowed, and I think I thank you very much for your understanding. You even went to the point to ask for apology, which you probably didn't even need to. We are used to having very vigorous conversations amongst ourselves. That's why I was telling you, if you probably attend, if WhatsApp platform was somewhere like a house where you can invite people that are not members of the house, but they can come. I had somebody visited me this afternoon, and we had lunch, and then he went away. But if you could join our platform just one day, then you wouldn't be having the impression that you have of the Nigerian Roundtable. Definitely, as an institution, as an organization, we are not partisan. We are not supporting anybody. Nobody has requested us to support, but we know everybody, just like every Nigerian should be, everybody has a candidate or somebody that is sympathizing with in the whole thing. So that's not what we are running away from. We are not saying we are not partisan, we are neutral, which means we don't have any political opinion. That is not what we are saying. What we are saying is that Global Roundtable is a highly mixed bag of different political opinions. And we are people who are used to dialoguing even with people that contradict us. So we do it, it's like a family. We talk, we don't quarrel, we never quarrel. We do things with totally mutual respect. And we listen to what the other person is saying. So that is what I still want to plead with you to go back with as the impression of the Nigerian Global Roundtable, even though individually you may have picked up one or two questions that you think are oriented and all that. But this is politics. So that is the proof of our being neutral is the way the questions are coming. We haven't censored any questions. We didn't ask anybody to send questions. We filter them before we pass them on to you. That's why some of the questions came like that. So one of the questions that somebody was asking actually sent it to me offline because he had the opportunity to do so, was well, which I know that person definitely is somebody interested in your campaign. And the person is saying, well, but we are not seeing enough posters of your campaign in many parts of Nigeria. Person is in Abuja. I've not seen campaign posters of Sowore in Abuja. We've not seen them in Lagos, or probably where he is not seen them. So he had wanted to ask if there were any particular challenges that you may have in placing your campaign posters in some parts of Nigeria or doing it everywhere. So that was a question that came, but we are closing. Where you don't have to answer that. We got that same question the other week with our guest, and he explained the challenges he was having, and the challenges that are some dominant parties are probably not making it easy for the others to put their posters, which is something that we probably need to all collectively deplore. So I don't know if that is your own case, but thank you. I hope your campaign is going well, and we pray your campaign goes well from now to the election day and through the election, and that you come out with flying colors as you are doing everything to come out with, which of course we are neutral. We won't say, okay, now we have become supporters of Sowore, but everybody has his opinion and his inclination, and definitely there are people on this platform that are on your side, and I want to say they are going to do the necessary on the day of the election if they are on your side. And for the rest of it, as an organization, Nigerian Global Roundtable, all we can say is to wish you well, and that everything goes fine for you in these elections. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the co-host, for those words of gratitude expressed. Mr. Sowore, may I just, without wanting to add more to what has been said, I just wish to, in addition to what they have said, on behalf of the Global Roundtable, thank you for taking the time to be with us this evening. We appreciate your coming, and we hope that we will see you again sometimes in the future on other subjects, so that you will see that we have hosted a lot of distinguished personalities. So, as I said, we will be distributing your manifesto, which has been sent to us, to show you that we support your candidacy, we support your initiatives and your efforts. We will distribute to all the people who are here, and also to all our contacts, as a sign of also supporting you. I said that at the beginning. So we appreciate your coming and wish you all the best. So maybe by this time next year, when we see you again, we will be addressing you as Mr. President. So we wish you all the best for the election, and also for all the things you are doing. We appreciate you and appreciate your efforts. So thank you very much. So with that.
Thank you. So I am saying thank you very much for everything. I appreciate and recognize and respect all of you. People just don't turn on a device like this in their house if they are not interested in persons. I just hope, wish that Nigeria was a normal place. It's an abnormal space. And as a result, even sometimes when what you hear about Nigeria becomes normalized to you, even when you have left Nigeria behind. I always say a joke, like you can leave Nigeria behind, but Nigeria will never leave you behind. They will follow you everywhere you go. And I just hope that one day we will see innovative governance, leadership in the country. And we won't have to get upset about ourselves, because we will construct roads, good schools, we have healthcare system that works, and everybody, all of you who want to come back home will be rushing home. That's my goal. I apologize to our comrade who sent me questions to answer, but sometimes these questions also get like boring because honestly, the person who said the question is probably more knowledgeable than I am on how to fix Nigeria. If I stay here answering the question, next week someone will ask the same question. I just want this country to work. That's all I'm after. You know, it's not an academic exercise alone, it's also a physical exercise. And I'm sure we can make it work. Again, guys, thank you so much for bringing me on your platform. I will be glad to come back again. Trust me on that. You can have my my word on that, Mr.
So thank you so much, and please extend our sincere gratitude also to Mr. Philip, who was also in between trying to get this to happen.
He's our organizing secretary. He's a fantastic guy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
will.
We appreciate him. We appreciate his efforts. Okay, so thank you so much and best wishes.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And good night.
Okay.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
night. Good night to everybody. Good night. We are ending now. Good night. Thank you.